Thanks for joining us at xm.com for the weekly outlook. I'm Christina Marujos. Joining me today is Mario Sotiriakos, investment analyst. This upcoming week has some events and data releases in store for us, Marios. But before we get into that, let's have a look at the dollar, which recently shifted its behavior and is no longer acting exclusively as a safe haven. It appears the greenback is responding to economic data recently, and the rally in stocks seems to be losing some momentum. So is the dollar becoming the U.S. currency again?
Hello, Christina. It seems that way. So ever since the crisis hit, the dollar transformed into the market's favorite safe haven. It essentially became a mirror reflection of stock markets. But this dynamic seems to be changing. Over the last couple of weeks, we've seen the dollar really react to economic data. So the US currency fell a couple of weeks back when US inflation data disappointed, and it surged this week after retail sales were much stronger than expected. So to me, it seems that with the Fed back in play and expectations that we might see an eventual withdrawal of QE, US economic performance matters for the dollar once again. Now, where does this leave us? I believe that if the FX market goes back to trading economic fundamentals, that might be a great outcome for the dollar, at least against the euro. So the American economy is already much stronger than the Eurozone's, and there's an overload of federal spending coming to ensure that this economic divergence grows further. On top of that, we have the US being much faster than the Eurozone in vaccinations, and I think that all of this is a recipe that can keep euro-dollar under pressure.
Now, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand meets early on Wednesday, and although the country isn't completely out of the woods regarding the virus, investors are expecting a more cheerful tone. So is the Kiwi in for a good week?
Well, maybe. Here's the problem. The RBNZ has, well, first of all, the economy is doing fantastic. It has made a stunning recovery. It's probably stronger than any other G10 economy at this point. Growth and inflation are much stronger than the RBNZ expected in its latest forecasts. Inflation expectations are moving higher. The housing market is strong. Unemployment is better than expected. Commodity prices have risen very sharply. And vaccinations are also beginning. Now, here's the problem. The RBNZ cannot sound too optimistic, because if they do, the QE is going to surge very substantially, and that will make the recovery more difficult going forward. So I think that they are going to retain a cautious element. They are going to stress that the risks remain to the downside and so on, but it's difficult not to acknowledge all of this tremendous progress. So overall, I think that the outlook for the QE is very positive, even though the RBNZ might try to talk down the currency next week.
And now turning back to the U.S., it's reporting some economic data this upcoming week, but investors might focus more on Powell's testimony before Congress on Wednesday and Thursday, and markets will be eyeing that for any hints of QE tapering. Do you think we'll get such signals from the Fed's chair?
I very much doubt it. So he will appear on Wednesday and Thursday before Congress. I think that the lawmakers, especially Republican lawmakers, are going to grill him on whether all of this spending is really necessary. But I very much doubt that he's going to provide anything new. So markets will be looking for QE tapering hints, but I don't think they're going to find any. Powell has been adamant it's too early to be having this conversation. And if anything, I believe he will reaffirm the need for continued QE purchases, and he might encourage Congress to go big with the spending. Now, all of this would be old news for the market, so I doubt there would be any substantial reaction, and I believe that the real risk is that Powell lets something slip about normalization being possible down the road if the economy is strong. That might be overinterpreted by investors, and we might see a small bout of risk aversion.
Marius, thank you for joining me today. This was the Weekly Outlook. Thanks for watching at xm.com.